The 2026 World Cup is the biggest in history. 48 teams, 3 host nations, the whole world watching. And yet somehow, some of the most talented players on the planet won't be there. Not because they're not good enough, not because their countries didn't qualify, but because of bad luck, bad form, bad timing, and coaches making calls that have left fans absolutely furious. Today we're going through some players who will be watching the Summer's World Cup from their couch. Some were dropped, some got injured, and some had their dreams taken away by a country that just couldn't get the job done. So let's get into it. Let's start with Brazil. Because honestly, a lot of teams in the World Cup have had players missing out, but none are sadder than Brazil. Carlo Ancelotti arrives as Brazil's new manager with a generational squad, genuine title ambitions, and then one by one, they just start falling apart. Rodrigo. In March, during a La Liga match, Rodrigo goes down ACL and meniscus tear. Season over, World Cup over. Just like that. One of the most electric wingers in world football, even through a bad run of form. He was playing at the biggest club in the world, and he's not going to be at the biggest international tournament in history. He's 24, and he's arguably entering the peak years of his career. The injury couldn't have come at a worse time. And then, almost immediately, Brazil get hit again. And who is it, you may ask? Estevao. 18 years old, just moved to Chelsea for a huge fee, the kind of talent that comes around once a decade. In April, he comes off early against Manchester United, and he's in tears, full tears. You could see on his face. He knew. The medical staff confirmed it shortly after. Grade 4 hamstring. Left off Brazil's preliminary squad entirely. Think about that for a second. The kid moves to one of the biggest clubs in the world, has a breakout season, and his first World Cup gets taken away from him before it even started. The world brutal doesn't even cover it. So Brazil are already missing 2 of their most dangerous wide attackers. You'd think Ancelotti would keep at least all his other options, right? Wrong. Richarlison. Remember 2022? Qatar? The overhead kick against Serbia that sent the whole world crazy. One of the best World Cup goals ever. Richarlison was the heartbeat of that Brazil squad, right after Neymar. And now, Ancelotti doesn't even take him. No injury, no suspension. Just a selection decision. Out. And then there's João Pedro. 20 goals in all competitions in his first full season at Chelsea, including 15 in the Premier League. He started for Brazil against Croatia in March. And Ancelotti still doesn't take him. It's genuinely baffling. Igor Thiago and Endrick were preferred as centre forward options. Whether that turns out to be the right call, we'll find out in June. But right now, it looks like a massive gamble. Brazil still have Vinicius, they still have Neymar coming back, they still have one of the most talented squads in the world. But the fact that they're going into this tournament without Rodrigo, Estevao, Richarlison, and João Pedro is absolutely wild. That's a World Cup winning front line right there. All staying home. Now, we have England. Thomas Tuchel has one of the deepest squads England have had in a generation. And that sounds like a good problem to have, until you realize it means some genuinely world-class players don't make the cut. Let's start with the ones that hurt the most. Cole Palmer. 10 goals, 3 assists, one of the most technically gifted players in the Premier League. At his best, there aren't many players in European football who can do what Cole Palmer does with a ball. And he's not going to the World Cup.
Excuse me, you feeling cold?
Tuchel had too many options at the number 10 position. Bellingham is there, Eze is there, Morgan Rogers is there. Palmer just got squeezed out. Is it the right call? Probably. Does it still sting? Absolutely. Next, we have Phil Foden. This one's less of a shock after a season at City, but it's still significant. At his peak, Phil Foden is a genuinely elite player. He's won everything at club level, but a low-par season cost him his spot, and Thomas Tuchel didn't hesitate to leave him behind. That's the ruthlessness of a manager who doesn't deal in sentiment. And then there's Trent Alexander-Arnold. No cap since last summer, his move to Real Madrid was supposed to be the next chapter of a brilliant career, and it just hasn't gone to plan. Tuchel picks Reece James and Livermento instead, and Trent watches from the couch. For a player of his quality, and honestly his ceiling is as high as any player England have had in years. That's a sad state of affairs. France are going to the World Cup as favourites. Mbappe, Dembele, Olise, Doué, Turkey. The attacking talent is genuinely frightening, but they're heading to North America without three players who absolutely should have been on that plane. First of them is Hugo Ekitike. This is the injury that hurts the most for France. Ekitike has been one of the most informed strikers in Europe this season. Pace, technique, composure, passing, the full package. And then in April, he ruptures his Achilles. 6 months minimum recovery. World Cup over. The timing is absolutely savage. He was right in the form of his life, right when the biggest tournament in the world was coming. Instead, he'll be watching it on TV with his leg in a boot. Eduardo Camavinga is next. No injury here, just a brutal selection call from Didier Deschamps. Camavinga played 43 times for Real Madrid this season. 43. Deschamps still picked Kante, Kone, Chouameni, Rabiot, and Zaire Emery ahead of him. 5 midfielders, and Camavinga isn't even one of them. At 23 years old, with Champions League experience and the technique to play anywhere across the midfield, it's genuinely hard to argue he shouldn't be there. But Deschamps has always trusted his system over individuals, and Camavinga pays the price. Next, we have Kefren Turam. This one stinks for a different reason. Kefren had a solid season for Juventus. 33 Serie A appearances, no injuries, and consistent performances. But his brother Marcus makes the squad. He doesn't. Deschamps preferred Kante, a 34-year-old playing his football in Turkey, over a 23-year-old Serie A midfielder in form. Whether that's loyalty to a legend or a tactical decision, it's the kind of call that will get revisited if France struggle in midfield. They probably won't, trust me. Germany under Julian Nagelsmann are looking pretty exciting. Wirtz, Musiala, and Havertz, they have real quality going forward, but they're missing 2 players who have significantly strengthened their squad. First of all, Serge Gnabry. 23 goal involvements this season before suffering a thigh injury in April. At his best, Gnabry is one of the most dangerous wide forwards in Europe, direct, two-footed, and clinical. He would certainly be a starter. Instead, he's out, and Nagelsmann has to find solutions elsewhere. We also have Chris Führich. This one is more of a tactical frustration than a headline grab. Führich is one of the most dynamic wingers in the Bundesliga. Quick, unpredictable, always a threat from the bench. The kind of player who changes games when they come on. Nagelsmann left him out and took more conventional options instead. Not a huge name, but German fans will be asking questions if the attack looks one-dimensional. These last few ones are the ones that really hurt. Not because of controversy or bad calls, but because of pure, brutal, and unfair bad luck. We have Xavi Simons. April, Spurs versus Wolves. Simons comes on as a substitute. A few minutes later, he goes down. ACL tear. His season is gone. The World Cup dream is not alive anymore. He was one of the most exciting young players in Europe at one point, playing a key role for the Netherlands. And in the space of one moment, one landing, it's all gone. No decision was made against him, no manager overlooked him. Just the clueless kind of football luck. Netherlands go to this World Cup without one of the most creative players because of one moment at a mid-table Premier League game in April. Next, we have Keiro Mitoma, Japan's most important winger. In Brighton's last game of the season against Wolves, he pulls up with a hamstring injury. And that's it. What made the story hit differently was the press conference. Japan coach Moriyasu stood in front of 300 reporters and his eyes welled with tears as he spoke about leaving Mitoma out. He said, as I'm paraphrasing, "It's a huge blow to us, and his injury is just sad. What he's done for the team has helped us improve to where we are now." A manager crying at a press conference because he has to leave a player behind. That's how much Mitoma means to Japan, and he won't be there. Kvicha Kvaratskhelia. This one, it's not an injury, it's not a snub, it's just football being cruel. Kvara finished in the top 15 of the Ballon d'Or this year. Top 15 in the world. He's one of the most electric wingers in European football. Scratch that, he is the most electric winger in European football, right after Michael Olise. Napoli fell in love with him, PSG paid a fortune for him, and the whole continent spent the last 2 years watching his highlights. And he's not at the World Cup because his Georgia, couldn't get through a qualifying group that had Spain and Turkey in it. He played his heart out, he scored, he created, and it still wasn't enough. Top 15 in the world, not at the World Cup, that sentence couldn't be possible. It shouldn't be possible. Also, Miko Tadze and Georgi Mardashvili on the same team couldn't make it. And now, I'm saving the biggest one for last. Robert Lewandowski. Poland lost the playoff final to Sweden. And with that result, Robert Lewandowski, one of the greatest strikers of the modern era, maybe even of all time, almost certainly played his last meaningful chance at a deep World Cup run. He's 37. He'll be 41 at the next one. This is it. Think about his career. 5 Bundesliga Golden Boots, 4 Champions League final, Ballon d'Or runner-up, 94 goals for Poland, more than anyone in the history of that country. And through all of it, the World Cup has just never happened for him. He played in 2 World Cups, Russia 2018 and Qatar 2022, and Poland went out on the group stage without him scoring. And in 2022, they went out to Kylian Mbappe's France. That's it. That's his World Cup legacy. 2 tournaments, a couple goals, and a group stage exit and a round of 16 exit. He deserved better than that. And now, barring some miracle, that's all he's going to get. All these players, all with different stories, injuries, snubs, heartbreak, and bad timing, all colliding in the weeks before the biggest World Cup in history. The tournament will still be incredible. The talent is still off the charts. But somewhere in the background, in the physiotherapy rooms, in the living rooms, these players will be wondering what might have been. Which of these hurt the most for you? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more World Cup content as we count down to June 11th, subscribe and hit the bell. We've got a lot more coming. See you in the next one, because this was the World Cup.